What is up, and welcome to another edition of the Bruin Bible. Will Decker, your host. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing the podcast. We are brought to you guys today by our advertisers. Our advertisers are Bell to Bell Fitness, Shea Tor, a realtor out in Arizona, former Bruin alum, and my main man Howard Chang, a realtor right here in Los Angeles. Let's go through them, guys. Bell to Bell Fitness is a boxing gym on the West Coast used by their FIT acronym, Fight Inspired Training. My main man, Tony Gonzalez, was the boxing coach for UCLA for over 10 years. He has built this gym on the West Side to learn how to boxing, stay in shape, and get you all the essentials you need to become somebody that is obsessed with boxing and fitness. Make sure to check it out. Go into Bell to Bell Fitness and say you heard about it from the Bruin Bible, and you're going to get a free session with Tony Gonzalez. So make sure to check that out. Shea Tor, my main man. Shea Tor is a licensed real estate agent in Arizona and a lifelong Bruin. He's a current Wooden Athletic Fund donor and football season ticket holder. When not selling houses or going to UCLA games, he loves to travel the country, checking out different arenas, ballparks, and stadiums. If you're looking to make the move to Arizona or know someone who is, please reach out to our loyal friend, Mr. Shea Tor. His phone number is 602-487-3975. Once again, his number is 602-487-3975. Make sure to check that out. And then the local realtor we got out here, Howard Chang. Howard Chang is a local realtor with the Serene team at eXp Realty. Their team has an office right here in Culver City, though they help clients buy and sell homes all over the LA County and the surrounding areas. Howard and his team do a ton of business and are super in tune with the market, knowing winning strategies to give their clients a competitive advantage. Have amazing vendor referrals, are a one-stop shop for anything real estate, and just provide a ton of value for their clients. Howard and his partner, Kyle Draper, are UCLA alums and a huge fans of the UCLA football and basketball programs. You will often see them at games, tailgating and networking, and staying involved with the UCLA alumni community. They would love to help any fellow alumni with accomplishing their real estate goals. So if you guys have any real estate needs in the LA area, look no further. Howard is your guy. All right, guys, we're going to go into the episode. And what is up? And welcome to the latest edition of the Bruin Bible. It's been a minute since we've had my main guy on here, Wayne Cook. What's going on, man? Sunday evening. Football is officially this month for UCLA. We got the Hawaii game at the end of August. The school year is starting up for you. Can life be any better than right now in August as we got football on the horizon, Wayne?
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm so excited that football's coming up. I had a chance to go to the practice on Friday. I'm going to go again this week. I'm beyond impressed with what I'm seeing. I'm not going to lie to you. The drive that I make into LA every time I go is a good, 2 hours plus, unless I'm really lucky. I was all UCLA talk the whole way up. And I got to practice and I was kind of pissed off. I was like, are they really even paying attention to who we do have? Other than, I know we lost Latu. And I will tell anybody that'll listen, Latu is one of those guys you don't just replace. But this defense is not bare. It's not an empty cover like some people act like it is. And in my opinion, we've got a top 5 quarterback in the conference. And if things go well, I think he's going to be better. I've watched a ton of games from last year now that I'm watching Big Ten Network all the time. But I'm like, these quarterbacks are like just there. You go back and watch SC and the bowl game and tell me we don't have a guy that can sling it. So I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself right now. I'm just kind of setting the stage. But, I get fired up. I'm not going to lie. I talked to a couple of the players. I said, man, you won't believe what I'm hearing. I go, and they're better than I am because, I'm just an old guy that gets mad at little stuff. They're taught not to do that. But they're aware of the fact that they're going to go into the season undervalued, underestimated. They're on the bottom half of almost every list. And so that gives them motivation. But the way I look at it, when I looked around the field, I saw a bunch of grown men out there. I saw a ton of experience. So, man, I'm I know the schedule's crazy. Well, I really do. But I just think we're a good football team. I really do. I believe with all my heart that we're a good football team. And we're going to have to stay healthy. We're going to have to battle that schedule. But if we do, man, we're going to beat some people. And we're going to beat more people than people think.
I completely agree. And you look at the returning talent for UCLA, they had that one list that was posted, I think, a month or two ago where it was the top percentage-wise of most returning production within college football. And we were in the top 25 of teams returning within the whole college football landscape for a team that won a bowl game last year. So the talk –
just real quickly, Will, I don't know if you follow this, but there's so many new up and coming people that cover college football, and I'm gonna butcher it because I couldn't find it before I came on here, but there's a group of people. It's a college football website, and they have this formula. It's like PME or it's some abbreviation. And they in the conference, we were like 5 or 6 in both offense and defense according to their formula. And I kind of went for the first time. I went that, and it's not just because I'm that guy, but I'm like, our defense. Yes, we lost some guys, but we still have some really good players. We brought in some really good players, and so I thought that was more realistic. I think putting us down at like 15, 16, those are like really. I don't see that, especially with the experience we have at quarterback, and so we'll see. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. And, you got to go out to practice on Friday. I'm very interested in hearing about a lot of topics on that. The first one I want to know about, I know some of the media spoke to him, Deshaun Foster. This is really the first time he's been able to face the media since the, press conference that occurred in Indy, albeit a teaching moment for Deshaun at the end of the day. But he was making light of himself, wearing the T-shirt that says UCLA, we're in California, kind of poking fun at some of his comments within the press conference. How did Deshaun seem? Because I think a lot of people are basing this season's success on what he can bring to the table. I certainly don't believe this, but this is just the reality of the facts. After that press conference occurred, a number of websites dropped UCLA's win total by 2 wins, which I thought was ridiculous, albeit not an ideal press conference, but 2 wins just off of one of those just speaking to media. I thought that was ludicrous.
So it's funny because I listened to a ton of it. I mean, Reese Davis talked about it on his podcast. Like, it's been a hot topic. He was cool about it, by the way, which is awesome. If you've ever met or been around Reese Davis, he's one of the class acts of college football, and he's right up there. Him and Kirk Herbstreit are about as big as they get. But it was a topic. You when you do something like that, people are going to talk. The great thing about Deshaun Foster, and this was really cool too, when Matt Stevens and I were both there because they had the Big Ten kickoff, actual deal with Martin Jarmond, and our interim chancellor was there, and so all the coaches, and it was a really great event. But Deshaun Foster, as soon as he saw Matt and I, he ran over and gave us 20 minutes while the team was stretching. It doesn't bother him a bit. I'm sure his pride probably was like, I'm probably going to be better at this. But if you watched, and I know you were there, Will, you did a great job, by the way. I think that after the first moment, he got better as the day progressed. If you've ever talked to Deshaun, if you've ever been, remember, I hosted his press conference, and I thought he was amazing. I thought he hit it out of the park. I mean, I sent it to him to talk, and the way he handled everything was great. I think Deshaun will learn that being himself is his best quality. And as the day progressed, that's what he became. And then wearing the shirt at practice and making light of it and saying, you know what, we're not going to let this bother us. I mean, it can even turn to a little bit of a rallying cry for the team because we know how much the team likes him. So this is a close-knit group. We've heard all the players talk about how much fun they're having. I did not see any drop-off in work ethic. Meaning that, you worry about when you're having more fun, that guys might get a little loose, start, lack of a better term, grab-assing a little bit and doing things they're not supposed to do. I saw none of that. This team acts like they're a pro team. The coaches don't tolerate anything. So right after Deshaun Foster left, Coach Bieniemy came over and talked to us for a little while too, and it was really, really, really awesome. I ran into Coach Malloy for a second. Had a chance to, like I said, just really get it's a really quality vibe, and I feel like people forget this team hasn't been very far. I know I say it every time we come on this. We've had a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. The last 2 years, different years, but with the last 2 years, this team knows how to be good on both sides of the ball, and there's still players that are hanging around from those teams. So they know what it feels like to be on a really good offense. I think by the way, offense, I think they're real excited about what they're doing. I mean, they're buying into everything Coach Bieniemy is feeding.
Yeah, and that was one of the questions I have for you, man, is like, How have you seen them kind of progressing? Because Jamal and I broke it down in the last episode. Bieniemy's offense is very different from the likes of a Chip Kelly, both very successful in their own rights. He was the offensive coordinator for some legendary Chiefs offenses with Pat Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Chip Kelly, more of the run game type of style. But as we said, Eric Bieniemy is an offensive coordinator, even with the Commanders last year, never had a 1,000-yard rusher. So it's just going to be a very different kind of unit compared to what we previously had as Chip, who leaned heavily on the run game. I think this is going to be more West Coast. Talk to me about what you saw in the Friday practice. And I got to come to you, Wayne, with the quarterback room. We added 3 new young arms to complement that room. And Demarcus Davis, the transfer from Washington, and then Carson, the quarterback, the young freshman coming there, and then Henry Hasselbeck coming from Massachusetts as well.
So, they're young. You heard it with Bieniemy after practice. He used the NFL term. So they're rookies. They're freshmen. Their head is swimming right now. So basically all they could do well that you can judge at this point is them playing catch. They all do that just fine. One of the guys that we probably should watch, I heard a coach mention him, is doing pretty well, is the young quarterbacks, is actually Carson. So
wow.
He looks solid. And I was like, that's good. So now I'll keep you informed, Will, because now I'm going to pay more attention to him as we progress. I will say this, though, and this is not a slight on anybody else. It's Ethan Garbers, and then there's a really big gap.
Yeah.
He's really developed, and I hope people don't underestimate having a brother that plays college football, having a brother that has played professional football. I know he did play in the NFL last year, but he did for a year, and then he played in the other league last year. But he's got a sounding board that he can talk to, and I promise you this, and a lot of the stuff that Coach Bieniemy is, a lot of the verbiage they're using is very similar to what a lot of teams are using in the NFL. So it's going to be a huge benefit, but it sounds like Ethan has been the one that's picked it up really well. And then again, I just keep telling people, I love watching quarterbacks throw. And I will tell people forever, you can be the best athlete in the world, but if you're not a great thrower, you're never going to be a great quarterback. And then I will follow it by saying that not only do I think Ethan has the potential to be a great thrower, he's a lot faster and athletic than people give him credit for. I don't know where he lost the reputation. I don't know why people don't get it. He ran for a ton of yards in high school. He had great stats in high school. He was a 4-star guy. He was an elite quarterback coming out. You don't lose that. And he got kind of screwed last year, to be honest with you. He should have more experience. But when he played and he finished games, he won them. I mean, that's what he did. So the quarterback room is deep. I can't wait to watch what they do when they learn. But there's going to be a real battle for second string at this point. And I think it's going to come down to who can learn the offense the best. That's the key. And then once because obviously once you know the offense, then you can start executing it the way they want you to.
Yeah, and I think, Wayne, to your credit, I mean, you know this as well as anybody, being in that UCLA quarterback room. The competition for QB1 next year starts today, starts now. You know what I mean? And you just have a loaded quarterback room. We knew Ethan was going to be the guy. I just wanted to get the first impressions of these dudes coming in because you have those 3 new transfers coming in. You got Madden coming in next year. What if J-Mart sticks around coming into the following season? Then you got Luke Duncan, who I was very high on, in spring ball. So, it is going to be just a duel for the quarterback room with a lot of dudes, a lot of talented guys fighting for that QB1 spot. So I am excited to see what that looks like moving into the future. Wayne, who else stood out to you on the offensive side of the football when you're at practice?
No, that's a great question because I'm a huge Logan Loya fan. I like the guys that don't always get the credit they deserve, and they just put up numbers. I just mentioned it with Ethan Garbers. It really bothers me when players are good, and because maybe they didn't have quite as much hype coming out of high school, or maybe they don't fit the eye test. Logan's not the biggest guy in the world. He's not a guy that's going to brag after every game and tell you how great he is. It's the nicest young man you'll ever want to meet, and he's really freaking good. He's a guy I could see playing for a bunch of years in the NFL because he's valuable. He runs great routes. He can return kicks. He is the ultimate team guy, and I absolutely love that about him. But here's what's going to be fun about that, and I think getting Titus back is huge because right now it looks like he may be a starter. Wow. It looks like Rico may be a starter. it looks like J-Mike may be a starter. And if they're only running with 3 receivers, where does Logan play? And the thing is, and this is what I like about a guy like Logan Moya, is he's going to play everywhere. And I hope people are smiling when they hear that. I think Logan's that guy. I guarantee you can put him at any one of those positions and he can play there. So we've seen this over many, many years. There's a lot of receivers, and we didn't talk about the young guy Quasi, who's got to learn a ton. And we didn't talk about some of the other players that we are really, really high on. But I think those 4, the first 4 I mentioned, are going to get a ton of reps. And then again, I get mad because a coach looked me straight in the eye right as you know how much I like Braden Payton. And he made a freaking play and made a catch, and he went, and that guy's really good. And I go, I know. I've been trying to tell everybody who will listen to me forever. He's big. He's fast. He runs great routes. Braden, just stay healthy and decide that you're better. I don't care. I want J. Michael Sturdivant to go out every day to try to be the best. I don't know if Flores that will yet, but I want him to go out every day to try to be. I want Titus to go out every day to try to be the best. But Braden, don't just sit back and think you're the next guy. Go be the best guy. Go say, I'm going to be the next Danny Farmer. Like, go do that. And that's what I want from him. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I promise you the next time I get in his ear, I'm going to tell him how great he looks. But trust me, the coach that notices him is a prominent coach.
Yeah, man. Pagan is one of those guys too, man. Like, if you just watch the practices and the scrimmages, and he's constantly been fighting injuries, and that's just a tough thing for athletes to deal with in general. But that guy makes about 2 or 3 plays of practice where you just go, why is he not getting on the field? How can we put this guy in the lineup? It's one of those situations where if Pagan can just stay healthy, man, and the stars align for him to get a shot, I think he's going to run with it. I've been on Pagan for about 3 years now. He's been fantastic. So we love that. Offensive line, Kate. I don't know how much
Just one more real quick. And the offensive line we should say for the dessert here after the running backs. Because I learned something else too. Keegan's about 10 pounds heavier.
Wow.
And hasn't lost any speed. Okay. And even maybe hinted he might even be faster. And that's scary. Because Keegan is Keegan. It's also quite possible that he could be, and again, it's going to be weird how you use Keegan. But, if he's 180 and he's shifty and he knows how to run and use it well, I've never been a person that believed that you have to be. I watched Darren Sproles have a great career.
Yeah.
I know Maurice Jones-Drew and guys like that were short, but they were also, square. So they still were probably 200 pounds. But Keegan could actually be the best back on the team. And that's something that we all thought last year was a head scratcher, right? Like, why is Coach Kelly not using Keegan Jones the way we kind of thought he would? Even the year before, it felt like he used him more. I think Keegan's going to be a huge part of this offense. I think he's going to be huge. I also heard, and I love this guy too, and this is again why I get so mad about the prognostication, is Maliki Monteval is set to have a huge year.
Yeah,
this guy's really, really good. You mentioned earlier what Coach Coach Bieniemy did with Travis Kelce. Monteval is a guy that he's impressed me from day one. I don't think we used him enough last year, to be honest with you. And I think he's set to have a big year too. So I just wanted to get the skill guys out of the way.
No, I love it, man. This is why we have Wayne Cook on the show, man. He gives us the detail of the guys that we're looking to know. 2 things on that. So Keegan Jones, when I learned more about Bieniemy's offense, and you look at the type of running backs he's had, when you look back at the Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's, the Damian Williams, the Kareem Hunts, even last year with an Antonio Gibson, he prioritizes both the run game and the pass catching ability. And for my money, Wayne, I don't know how it played out, but this is what I'm thinking. Bieniemy gets hired, and then Deshaun is there. I think Deshaun and Bieniemy were looking at film, and Bieniemy's like, get this guy back on campus because that's exactly what I need. Like, we need to get this guy back from UConn. He eventually comes back, is a UCLA Bruin. He was going to play for Jim Mora, former UCLA coach. So I'm very much in agreement that now that I understand what Bieniemy's offense kind of looks like and the shape it's taking, I think there's a real shot Keegan Jones is RB1 out there.
And remember this. What's fun about all of this stuff is TJ and and Jalen are, in my opinion, after watching film on Jalen Berger, are very similar backs.
Yeah.
They're both big guys. They find the hole well. They run hard. Keegan just got that extra gear. So trust me, when you're a coordinator and you're sitting there and you're thinking about the receivers we talked about, I did mention, is it the tight end Bryce Pierre from Arizona State, who also, from what I've heard, is looking solid at the number 2 tight end. You got good, big, strong tight ends. You got 3 backs, not to mention the guys that can line up as fullbacks, right? You've got so many different packages that you can run in and out of the football game that keep everybody off balance. And I think that's why I'm always going to trickle back to we're going to talk about the offensive line in a second. If you get the offensive line figured out, and then I think you and I are going to agree on the one move that looks like it's happened that I think is like, thank you. Like it's a great move. If Garbus has time to use these weapons with the experience that he has in college football, this offense, is my opinion. I've watched a lot of Big Ten football. Most of them, there were a lot better offenses in the Pac-12 last year than there were. Don't get me wrong, Ohio State's still Ohio State. Michigan's in all kinds of trouble. I was reading some stuff on the internet today that looked really weird, which means I don't know if it's true or not, but we'll see. But for the most part, there's going to be a lot of teams. They're going to have a hard time. I don't care how good you think Big Ten defenses are. This offense has a ton of weapons. But it does come down to up front. Did you guess which move I was talking about?
Was it a specific lineman?
It's to move someone to a new position.
Oh, the center position. Was it Josh Carlin going to centers? That was my rumored. So Carlin is the center. Okay, that was
slow down, Will. This is not breaking news. I don't break news here. Josh Carlin is a solid, smart player who has made the move to center. We've heard coaches say this on their interviews. Coach Bieniemy talked about it the other day. So I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying he's the starter yet. But here's the deal. I've always believed this. Josh Carlin played center in high school. It's not the first time he's played center before. Center is a very hard position. You don't want to go a whole year with low snaps, high snaps. That's just, I've watched that before at UCLA. When you got to get 2 or 3 a game, and they're complete drive killers, and when there's a lot of close games, you can't have that. But Josh is smart. He's established. He has a ton of starts, and it gives you an opportunity if no one else beats him out, because he can still be beat out at that position. But if he is that guy that earns that spot, you have an opportunity to have 5 across the board with starting experience. Quite a bit of it, actually. When you throw in Uniche and you throw in, I'm going to forget his name right now, Las Vegas square guard. You throw in those guys, they've all played, and then we've got our guys coming back from last year, right? So that's exciting to me, and it also, I feel like we have more depth. So I think right now, from the way I see it, we have a Big Ten offensive line. I don't know if it's going to be the best offensive line in the Big Ten, but we have a Big Ten offensive line. We also have a coach that every time I hear anybody talk, I'm like, this guy Coach Castro is absolutely legit. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to talk to young men. He knows how to teach. You've heard Coach Foster talk about that quite a bit. Like, I want coaches that know how to teach. And that is the key to being a good coach, key to being a good teacher. I work in the profession. You can know all the stuff you know, and if you can't teach a young person, like if I talk over you all the time and you don't understand what I'm saying when I'm trying to teach you about the Civil War, you're not going to learn anything about Civil War. But if I can relate the Civil War to you and make it make sense to you and say it in a way that you understand it, now I'm teaching. So that's what I love to see from these coaches. I think they do a great job of it.
I think it's really encouraging for UCLA fans to hear that the offensive line is, looking, a little bit better, looking more like a Big Ten unit, as you said. And when it comes to Castillo, man, I saw it all throughout spring ball. There's an intensity to him and a level of respect the linemen have for that guy that you're just going, hey, this guy's got it. I don't know what it is, but when you see it, you know it. He's going to put a couple guys into Canton with some gold jackets in the future, and Jason Peters and Jason Kelsey going in there at some point. So I trust what this guy has to bring to the table with the offensive line.
And Will, thank you for seamlessly correcting Castillo when I said, I believe Castro, which was a mistake. I have these moments every once in a while, like I know the name and I'm like, I got to say it. And I screwed that one up and you didn't even call me out on it. You just corrected me, which was fantastic. I appreciate that. But
that's what I'm here for, man.
But Castillo, he's just doing such a great job. You mentioned the Hall of Fame. I'm going to get a little off track for a second because I got two things to say here. I watch those speeches every year. I can't explain it to everybody out there. I don't care if it's middle school kids that I teach or high school kids or college kids that I talk to. When you listen to the greatest of the great, there's always a humility. They're always humble. They're always thankful of everybody from their high school coaches, their Pop Warner coaches, their teachers, like to everybody that helped them along the way. You don't hear a lot of slang. You don't hear a lot of and I'm only saying that because I'm a teacher. I had a kid last year that always acted, dude, you're from friggin' Temecula. Stop acting like you want to be dumber than you are. And I know that can offend people because people get offended by everybody. But what I love is when Patrick Willis and Julius Peppers and all they've gone through and the hardships that they've gone through and all they've worked through, because to get to be a Hall of Famer, you're going to go through a lot. How they think their teammates. I mean, this is what every single coach wants their players to be. They don't want a bunch of me first guys. Julius Peppers, and I brought him up, and I'm bringing this up because I don't know if you saw it, but Deshaun Foster actually was there. As a teammate of Julius Peppers, there's a great picture of John Fox and Julius Peppers, and Sean Foster was right next to him because they were teammates. And these people know what it takes to be really, really good at sport and at life. And all of them talk about that too. So I wish more people would watch those every year. I'm always blown away. And then I'm not surprised because to get great in this world, it's more than just talent. We talked about that with Latu last year. I don't know what Latu's career is going to be, but all he's overcome, the way he practiced, the teammate he was, how much his teammates appreciated him, all of that stuff at the college level made him a world-class college football player, one of the best players in the country. You don't get to be that by just showing up and saying, hey, I'm a great athlete. So I know that Coach Sean Foster pushes that stuff. I know that when they talk about DRE, right, discipline, respect, and enthusiasm, there's a lot of that, Hall of Fame attitude that trickles into that stuff. So anyway.
No, I loved it, man. And, I did catch the Patrick Willis speech as a Niners fan. I'm going to butcher it. But what he said about the grind, you can't cheat the grind. Yeah. The results show themselves in the long term. I love that type of stuff. The Hall of Fame speeches always kind of get me going, man. I remember Michael Irvin had a great one where there wasn't a dry eye in the house. I remember Steve Young going up there for the Niners. I mean, it's an unbelievable weekend in the world of football, and I love it every single year. We got to move to the defensive side of the ball, Wayne. And, I'm interested. I'm pretty confident with this unit. John Vaughns was back out there again, which I think is a very encouraging sign for this defense. We had feared for, a couple seconds there that he may test the waters of the MLB draft. But I got two major questions for you before I go to who looked good on the defense. Was a Champy Young out there? Collins a Champy Young, big body defensive end, 6'7", 275 pounds, 4-star transfer in from Miami. We had waited the spring period. We did not get to see him play. And then number two, a guy that I talked to Deshaun Foster about at Media Day, Ollie Cahow. It was Cahow out there. I know he played in the spring, environment game that they had at the Rose Bowl. Was Cahow out there? Was he full tilt? And outside those two guys, what did the defense look like?
Yes, and yes, they were both out there. You say the first guy's name again, and I'm going to learn it I'm going to learn it before the season starts. I promise. But yeah, he's big. He has advertised very, very tall. You have to remember we were in shorts, so I didn't really get to see a whole lot. But man, he passes the eye test. I did talk to John Vaughns before practice. He seemed happy. He looked good. Looked like a middle linebacker. Ale was out there too. He looked good. I actually talked to both those guys you just mentioned. He looked great. I kind of teased him a little bit. I said, hey, because he hadn't played much, which is why, and I hate to be mean, but I'm like this. I know you were from Alabama. I know people get all excited about that. Like he was from Alabama or he was from Notre Dame or he was from, I go, it doesn't matter. People get too worked up about that stuff. What matters is you can play. And he hasn't been healthy. And so I love seeing a smile on his face. I root for all these athletes. I would love to see him have an amazing year. We have so many upperclassmen. John's, got to be in his last year. I don't know. COVID, I can't figure out. John's been around forever. Kane's been around forever. Fimmy's been in football for a long time. Ollie's been in football for a long time. These guys have been around. I mean, if you go up in front of them, the guys in front of them have been around for a long time. So we have a lot. We still have questions at edge, and I'm going to bring up a couple because we're going to go. I'm going to bring up a player that I watched. I noticed him in spring, and then I walked out on practice and I went, "Oh my God, 49 is huge." Carl Schlesinger is big. He is a Big Ten prototypical linebacker. His legs, I'm like, oh my gosh, he looks like he could squat a house. He impressed me in spring. There was hinting at maybe Finley could move to the outside some. And I started thinking about who we're trying to replace on this defense, right? In the middle seems fine. I love Darius Moose out, but I think Finley and Kane are going to do their thing. And if you throw in John and Ollie and all those guys who can play in there, that's great. Carl Jones is interesting because we don't talk about him enough. He was that Swiss Army knife of the team, right? I started thinking about him going, Kane's that kind of athlete. If all these other guys can play, like if Carl can play, we can move not just Finley, but Kane's 6'4". He runs like a deer. There's moments where you could rush him off the edge. I'm not saying they're going to do that. This is my brain just thinking. Yeah. I mean, Donnie Edwards, one of my favorite people in the world. I just watched a great show yesterday, I think, on the Olympics where he helps veterans and stuff like that. Donnie Edwards, he's a hero of mine, and he's such a good dude. He was a receiver / DB that played linebacker. And that guy could come off the edge and take your head off. Yeah. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do if you have enough guys. So you may see, it doesn't have to be someone huge. It can be a speed. Carl wasn't huge. Carl was just a really good athlete. Could Carl come off the edge? He could. He wasn't an every down off the edge guy, but he also could spy your quarterback. Kane could do that. Ollie's not the biggest guy in the world, but he also is a little bit more of that athletic build. So I'm dying to see when we really get going in pads how he runs. Because I'm curious, and I'm not saying we're going to be running the exact same offense as last year, because you got to run defense, because you have to run a defense that, Coach Malloy is going to do some things, but I imagine there's going to be some similarities too. You don't want to change too much because it was so good. But now we're down to the big question, and you asked about the kid from Miami, and again, I haven't learned his name yet, and I apologize for that. But the guy's coming off the edge. I still think that's a question mark, and I still think we're going to have to figure it out. What I love about that is that when games start, sometimes you're really surprised at who can be really, really good. I keep thinking, going back to Pagan on the other side of the ball, I would love for him to get a game where he's kind of forced to play, and he gets a full game, and everybody goes, where's this guy been? Because sometimes that's what happened. I mean, that was J.J. Stokes' story. The older guys called him Cadillac in practice. Everything just looked so smooth, and he just didn't really look like he cared that much. And then the guy gets in the game, and he's like a game changer. Like, there are people like that. They got to get out there. So whether it's Busick or the Miami transfer or any of the other guys that need to step it on the outside, I'm kind of excited to see someone say, okay, you're going to underestimate. And every show I watch says, who are going to be the guys that rush the passer? And they're like, I'm going to be that guy. And I can't wait, because I think that's what's fun about sports is there's always going to be that next guy that's going to step up and say, you know what? I'm better than you think I am.
Totally. And, Wayne, I think from where my standards are at, they may not be top 3 units within the conference, because the Big Ten is a loaded conference, especially on the defensive side of football. But the linebacking room's underrated. I think we can agree on that. I'm higher on the secondary, and this is kind of my shtick with the show. I've picked it the last 2 years. I think this year it's going to turn out 2 veteran corners in Kirkwood and Davies coming back, right? And Kirkwood getting that interception against Caleb Williams in, the rivalry game this past year. That rivalry game is one of the biggest confidence builders for players on this roster. I've seen it happen. Greg Dulcich exploded in that game. Next year, he's one of the best tight ends within college football. Dorian Thompson-Robinson has the game of his life in the college season, comes back and is about a Heisman candidate through week 9 or 10 in the college football season. Like, that game has real implications on turning it up to the next level when you return. So Kirkwood, maybe he kind of realizes his potential this next year. Jalen Davies coming back to stud. Addison, from all the Oregon people I talked to at Big Ten Media Day, they go, that guy's really good. He just wasn't able to stay healthy. So if we can get a healthy year from Addison, I like what I've seen. And Ramon Henderson, the Notre Dame transfer, that guy was a ball hawk in spring football. He took 2 or 3 interceptions that I was able to witness back there on the backside. So I like those two groups. I agree. The only concern I have is it's 3rd down, 3rd and 8. You need to get to the quarterback on those plays. Who's going to be that edge rusher to step up? Maybe Femi comes off the edge. Maybe it's Medrano, like you said. Maybe it's a Champion, Busic, Grant Bucky, whoever it may be. But I really think that's the one area of the defense where if you can bring back a player from last year, and maybe people think this is obvious in Liatu Latu as he's so talented, that's the exact type of player this team needs going to the Big Ten. So that's what I got on that. Wayne, thank you so much for coming on, man. That was a blast to talk, spring football or fall football with you. We are close to the season. We got a lot of great stuff coming on. You got a last point you're going to make. I'm going to let you have it.
Just want to say one thing. Kanye Clark, he's fighting for one of those corner spots. This is what I love about college football. He's a really good player, and he's one of those guys that UCLA loves that is earning everything he gets. So let's keep an eye on him as a guy that's fighting for playing time, and I think he's closer than people think. He's a really, really good athlete, and players like that are easy to root for.
Man, all the great tidbits out of fall practice from our guy, Wayne Cook. Thank you for coming on as always. Bruin Bible, guys, please like and subscribe. We'll be back very, very soon with more fall camp updates. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back later.